Jeff Burris deep for the Irish. And suddenly, Jeff Burris returning that punt will score. He could score. And does. Jeff Burris surprisingly in to return the punt. He took it 60 yards.
Man, it was electric by Friday afternoon because that's when Florida State came in. And they came in on these buses, I'll never forget. In come these buses, and back then you could literally pull straight up into the stadium on those buses, and out comes Florida State. And they all get off with these green hats with that nasty spear on top, and FSU, we were like, oh, hell no. That was it. That was it for us. We saw that, and word spread like wildfire. By the time that pep rally came around, entire campus was ready to go.
When they walk off the field and you take these emblems off the helmet, you got a golden helmet left, and that's what's going to happen Saturday.
Florida State said they don't know anything about Mystique, and they're not worried about the Mystique at Notre Dame, and I find no problem with them saying that. I respect that. They've never been around Mystique. How would they recognize it? We're here because we earned it, we belong here, and tomorrow we will prove it. I don't think you ever ought to be held accountable for what you say at the pep rally, but I want to tell you this. There is something special about this place. Whether anybody else believes or not, we believe it, and that's important.
When summer is finally forgotten, as daylight dwindles sooner each day, look around the corner, just beyond Main Street. Chances are, there's a game in a backyard. Children in the midst of imagining. Some with a notion, innocent but powerful. You eagerly followed your team, listening to that distant voice. You couldn't sleep after a victory. Couldn't wait till the day when it might be your time. And then that day arrived, that moment, that affirmation, when you were told you were special. And so you worked and you sacrificed, pointing toward that day in the fall when all of America would be watching you, watching your team. The kind of day dreamed of in a backyard just around the corner from Main Street. Here are the questions confronting number one Florida State. Are these to be the Seminoles who will at last run the full gauntlet of grueling competition and withering expectations? Is he to be Florida State's first Heisman winner? Is he to be, finally, a national champion? But between these hopes and their fulfillment, there is the myth, the stadium in South Bend, and history's team, Notre Dame.
Here come the Irish. 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 Here come the Irish.
11 national titles, 7 Heisman trophies. No other school has won as many championships. No other school has had as many All-Americans. And in their home, you also play against their past. Galloping shadows from 1924. Echoes of legendary coaches. In South Bend, they've become accustomed to teams chasing championships. And now comes another, inspired by a tradition without equal. So here we are, perfect seasons at stake, a game in a perfect place, a collision for history. A school hoping to finally ascend to college football's summit. A school hoping to add to its already abundant legend. Number one, Florida State, and number 2, Notre Dame. The coming of a day dreamed of in backyards, just around the corner from Main Street. Notre Dame Stadium at about 7:30 this morning. Around that time, the Florida State Seminoles were awakening in Michigan City, Indiana, peering out their hotel windows to check on their greatest pregame concern, the weather. And in that department, they seem to have caught a break. It'll be unseasonably warm. Not much rain before the game, nothing significant. Looks like they'll have every opportunity to exploit their acknowledged superiority in team speed. While they were making the hour's drive to South Bend, the Irish were attending Mass at Sacred Heart Basilica and then striding through the campus from church to stadium, looking to draw inspiration from forces both seen and unseen. And now to the scene inside Notre Dame Stadium, and a check on the weather conditions. 59 degrees on November the 13th. The wind could be a factor. That might be the only thing working against Florida State. Other than that, the Seminoles couldn't have asked for much more. In this, the battle between number 1 and number 2, presented by the United States Postal Service. We acknowledge it right up front. Some hype is inevitable in a situation like this.
Any big Notre Dame game is going to have a certain kind of atmosphere and all that tradition and all that history baked into it.
It doesn't have to be the game of the century or the game of the decade, because certainly it is the most anticipated college football game of the year.
It was more than just a big football Saturday or a traditional game, all those things that are always in play at Notre Dame. This one was the whole country is watching, and this is going to be our moment.
With the cast of characters, the setting, and the circumstances in place for a memorable game.
I think that going around and visiting them last night and talking to them, I think they realize that if we play well, we're going to win. And if we don't play well, we don't have a chance, and it's up to us to perform well. And you can't perform well if you're afraid or if you're nervous about making a mistake. This is the time just to go out there and put on a show.
Each team is 9-0. Each is riding an overall 16-game winning streak.
I'll tell you, the tension between these two is real and powerful and explosive.
And now everything that can be said has been said. Everything that has been written. The sun comes out and we are underway.
Played a really, really good football team.
And that is right down the middle.
And we really, really put it to them.
To give to Beckman. He slips to the outside. He's got the first down. Good move.
You know, we started playing Notre Dame football. We just started running and grinding, using those big guys up front. Just started road grading their quick, fast, explosive defensive front.
Zellers, the first back three. He pops over. Wow. And the offensive line of Notre Dame makes its first statement of the afternoon. 18 yards by Ray Zeller.
Yeah, they just never seen anybody as physical as us.
Notre Dame continues to flex out their tight end, trying to get a mismatch in the secondary.
Pass is complete to Clint Johnson.
And we ran a play where we faked an option one way, and our flanker runs the opposite way, and he took it for that first touchdown, and it pretty much shocked Florida State because they thought at that point they were invincible.
Receiver wide to the near side. The tight end is Oscar McBride. He is split open. We're looking at Rivers on the pitch. It is Durrell has three blockers in front to the 20s. He's going to score. He does.
Our mindset was, we're bigger than you. We're stronger than you. We're going to run it right at you. Stop us if you can. And they couldn't stop us that day.
One to throw. And he is sacked. He fires. Pass is complete. Kevin Knox ball is loose. And Notre Dame has it.
We were balling.
Benson. He is clear. 50-10-5 touchdown. And it is good. Goes deep. Has a man behind the secondary. Underthrows and intercepted John Covington. And the give is to Jeff Burris. Burris into the end zone, touchdown. Florida State University averaging 562 yards per game, held to 39 yards in the second quarter by the Notre Dame defense. has it. They have scored in the ball game off of this alignment, and they're going to do it again. Touchdown, Notre Dame.
Memories are made up. You know, there was a lot of emotions because we almost got a sack. So it was like, oh my God, we got him. And then, typical Charlie Ward. And then it's like, he's got room. You know, is he gonna run? Is he gonna try to throw it? Then when he let the ball go, it's like, oh my God, please, please.
Everybody swarmed the field, and you're thinking, hey, we did it.
We knew we had ascended to #1 in the country.
I almost wanted to shed a tear.
Line. Slot to the right, slot to the left. Dunn in the backfield with Ward. Last play of the game. This is it. Ward flushed out of the pocket. Throwing in the end zone. Knocked down by Wooden. The game is over. The Irish is upset. Florida State. Notre Dame wins. Pandemonium on the field. 31-24. Notre Dame is #1.
After I knocked that pass down at the end, a teammate of mine jumped on my back, and it blew my knee out. You know, tore the ACL and the PCL. So, yeah, it was kind of a great moment at the time, but it was also one of those times where it was like, yeah.
This was just a great football game. I compliment Florida State, Charlie Ward. They refused to quit. Our players didn't either. It's one game, and I think lived up to all the hype.